What's up, Cleftones? This is Darren from CleftoneGrooves.com. We're back at it again this week with the Mix Minus on a digital board. Alright, so last week we showed you how to do a Mix Minus on an analog board with very limited capabilities, but this week we're going to take that a step further and we're going to show you how to do that on a digital board with very robust capabilities. Now you're probably already looking at this beast sitting in front of me and you're probably thinking, oh my god, that looks complicated, that is way too much, I'm out of here. But I'm going to challenge you to stick with me because I'm going to show you just how easy it is to do on this board. And by the time you're done, you're going to be asking yourself the same question you've probably asked yourself a million times before about the cell phone. You know, you think about it, how did we ever live without cell phones? By the end of this video, you're probably going to be thinking, how did I ever live without a digital mixing board? Because everyone's got one, right? So if you've ever used a mixer of any kind for any audio purposes, then you will definitely see the power that can be harnessed with having a digital board. So jumping right into this, I want to tell you first of all, the board that I am using today is made by PreSonus. I've done a video a little bit about what this board can do when I first got it. This is the flagship version of PreSonus's Studio Live 16 mixer, the latest iteration, Series 3. And yeah, I know it's a mouthful, Studio Live 16 Series 3, but this board is just simply amazing. I will just say, maybe a shameless plug for PreSonus, but they have laid their boards out so nicely that even if you've never used a mixer before, it's very easy to find your way around these boards. But anyway, what I'm going to do before I bring you around here and show you over my shoulder what we're working with today to set up this Mix Minus setup, one of the things that makes it very possible and couldn't do without is this back panel here. I'm going to bring you up a little closer. We're going to talk about that in just a second here. So let me make a little adjustment in my camera and then we will be right back. Where we're looking at the rear panel of the Studio Live 16 mixer here, and right away you should notice something that's very similar to the mixer that we used last week. And if you think back to last week, how many connections did we need to set up a Mix Minus on that mixer? Remember I said we were only concerned about 3 connections on that mixer? Well, if you look at this mixer here, we have a whole heck of a lot more connections that we could choose from on the back of this thing. But to do a Mix Minus on this board, how many connections are we using today? It's just 3. Again, it's only 3. So let me break it down and explain what's going on here. We've got channel 1 here, which is what we are using to feed my signal from my microphone into the mixer and ultimately to you guys on the video watching so that you can hear me. But at the same time, we're going to route this signal to another output of the mixer so that the person on the phone can hear me. So we'll explain that in a little bit more detail in just a second. But I want to stay on the inputs for just a second. We also have input 9, which is the other end of this cable in the headphone jack of my iRig 2 device. My iRig 2 device here. The other end of this cable is plugged into input 9 right here. Now you're probably wondering, why didn't I plug this into input 2? You know, because we've got microphone in input 1, why not put it in input 2? Well, I would put it in input 2, but if you notice the difference between these jacks here, these are only the 3-prong jacks, as you notice, for just basic microphone cables. XLR cables is what they're called. Whereas if you look at these jacks down here, these inputs, not only are they XLR cable ready, where you can plug in a microphone cable, but they also have a big hole in the middle of them. That's because they also accept 1/4-inch jacks, right? So that's the only reason I am plugged into input 9, is because that is the lowest number jack back here that accepts the 1/4-inch jacks. These are combo jacks right here. So that's why I'm using channel 9 as opposed to channel 2, because the output of the phone simply won't go into channel 2. That's the only reason, okay? So the output of the phone is coming into the mixer in channel 9, And now from there, since I have it in the mixer, I can then do some really cool things with it. Let's say we have multiple hosts in the station or the studio. I can route that signal so that people wearing headphones now can hear the person on the phone just plain as day, right? Just like they were holding the handset up to their ear. Now, here's the other cool thing is channel 1. Remember I mentioned earlier that we were going to route channel 1 so the person on the phone can hear? Well, this section down here are the outputs that I have, these options that I can send signals just about anywhere that I want to. And when you get into the higher end digital mixers, that's one of the nice things. Yes, you have your main output section for left and right channels, or your channel that you sum up the left and right channels into a mono sum for one speaker, but then a lot of your digital mixers that are higher end are going to have extra outs so that you can route signals to different places, which comes in handy more often than many of you may think. So, in this case, setting up a mix minus, this is where that comes in handy. The reason I'm not using the XLR outputs here on this mixer is if we look at our iRig device, remember it only accepts 1/4 inch in, and just like we were using that last week. So this is the output on the headphone picture here that we see, and this is the input coming back into the phone here, the guitar jack. So we're coming out of mix 7 because this is a 1/4 inch cable, right? And that other end of that 1/4 inch cable comes into the iRig, and ultimately we'll connect our phone to this, and that's how we'll be able to be heard using the microphone that I'm talking into by the person on the phone. So the interviewee will be able to hear me while I'm speaking on the microphone, and I will be able to hear the interviewee. So it's just that simple. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in my phone, and while I am doing that, I'm also going to tell you, while I'm only using channel 1 for myself, this is what's really, really nice about this mixer. So let's say you have multiple co-hosts who all need to speak to the person on the phone. Well, I can take any one of these inputs, 1 through 8, 9 through 16, and I can route them so that they all come out of mix output number 7. Okay, so these are all outputs that I can use, and I can send any channel anywhere out of any one of these mixes. And so to further show you how that works, we're going to put you over my shoulder now and show you on the front end how we do that. Oh, and one other thing just to keep in mind, remember, we're in mix output 7. That's important to remember. Mix output number 7 is where we're going to be routing the signals, and you'll see why that comes in handy when we transition here to the shot over my shoulder. So here we go. So now I've brought you around to the front of the Studio Live mixer here, and you'll notice that you can hear me again because I have channel 1 brought up, and if I was to bring it up louder or turn it down softer, that would affect the volume that is being fed to you guys, right? Now, one other thing that I like to do before I call any people on the phone through the mixer is make sure that I am successfully passing audio into the mixer from the phone so that on my end, I can hear the person, right? So what I need to do is, what I like to do is go ahead and play a little music. Notice channel 9, where we have the phone plugged in, the fader is down, by the way. You don't want to blow your eardrums out. That is one of the most crappiest things you could ever have happen to you, is you go to play something and it's just super loud. So it's a good idea, start with your faders down. And I'm going to go ahead and just play a little music now to make sure that I am getting signal, and I'll slowly bring it up to a suitable level here. So here we go, playing a little music. We see the meters moving here on channel 9. That's a very good sign. So now I'm going to slowly bring up channel 9. Sounds good. Steps into a room, has everyone's attention. Waits for Mexicali. She goes by British. Okay, so we know that that is successfully sending audio. Shameless plug, by the way, that is an original song by myself and my buddy Justin. It's called Mexicali Queen, and it is available on all of the major outlets, iTunes, Google Play, you name it, it is there. So if you like that track, you want to hear more of it, go check it out, Mexicali Queen. Anyway, back to the mix minus here. So we've got our level set at a very comfortable level on channel 9, and I'm set at a comfortable level here on channel 1. And what I'm going to describe this as here is the main mix. Just what this button says. The layer of this mixer that we are on right now is the main mix. But remember, we still need to be able to have the person on the other end of the phone hear us, right? We can hear them, theoretically, because we could hear the music coming from the phone. But they need to be able to hear us. So remember, we were talking about Mix 7 and why that was important on the back of this mixer. Well, these yellow buttons here, I know you probably can't read them all, but these are the different layers of mixes that we can send to different places. So remember the mix 1 through 6 and all of that? Well, we were coming out of mix 7. So I am going to hit the button that says mix 7, because that corresponds to mix 7 on the back of my mixer. And notice you saw my faders come down because it's showing me what do my channel settings look like for mix 7, right? So channel 1 is currently turned down. So if I was to call somebody and try to speak to them, they wouldn't hear me at all. Notice my meters are going, but my fader is down. So the first thing we need to do on mix 7 is bring up channel 1, because I'm on channel 1. It's my microphone. So I'm bringing up mix 7 or channel 1 on mix 7. And remember, you think back to last week, this is like when I turned that red knob on channel 1 on the analog mixer. That's what this is doing. And if you remember, we had to turn up the master section of that mixer. Well, the same principle holds true here. So we have channel 1 turned up, but they still can't hear us, not until we turn up our master fader on mix number 7, right? So now we have channel 1 and the master of mix 7 turned up. So now I'm going to see about calling my buddy Devin here and see if I can get him talking again. By the way, we totally missed each other on that Batman movie. Funny story, we were supposed to get together at another friend's house, my friend Mike, and watch it over there with Mike. Well, Devin never showed up, that bum. Oh well, we'll get together another time. So now I'm going to give Devin a call, see if I can invite him to another movie, and see if he shows up for it as well, too. So now let's go ahead and ring Devin up here.
Hello?
Devin, what is up, man?
What's up?
Oh, okay. All right. Cool. Hey, so I have you on my show again. I am doing a mix minus on a different mixer right now, so you can hear me just fine?
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. And again, I'm going to ask you that same question. Are you hearing any echo or delay of yourself?
I am not. It's crystal clear.
Awesome. Okay, so now I'm going to do one little experiment here. I was telling my folks here about not turning up the channel that you're coming in on this mix. I'm going to go ahead and turn up your channel on this auxiliary mix. Tell me if you hear an echo of yourself now when you speak.
Yes, I'm hearing an echo now.
Yeah, and that's kind of distracting, isn't it?
Very.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bring that down again. And I told my viewers I was going to try to get together with you on another movie since you didn't show up last week for the Batman movie. So when are we going to go see a movie, man?
I don't know, man. Whenever you want to. We haven't seen the new Transformers yet.
I know, yeah. We're going to have to go do that.
Yeah. I know we already saw Spider-Man. That was really good. So hopefully Transformers, probably won't be as good, but hopefully it'll be all right.
Yeah. We'll see. All right, so let me ask you this. I turned you down again. Were you getting any more echo when you were just talking just now?
No, I wasn't hearing anything. It was crystal clear again.
Awesome. All right. Well, then I'll say that this concludes the test, and it's been another successful one then, man.
Very, very successful.
All right. Well, we'll have to get together on that Transformers real soon.
Yeah, we'll have to do that for sure.
All right, man. I'm going to let you get back to what you're doing. So, I know what you're thinking. You are thinking, most likely right now, how in the world did I ever live without a digital mixer? I told you, right? So, yes, we have only just scratched the surface of just one of the capabilities that this thing can be used for. Very powerful. So I'm going to advocate here for, if you are a person that does radio shows or interviews or records your interviews with other people, and you need those robust routing capabilities to be able to send your signals every which way, then I'm going to tell you, strongly admonish you to look at Presonus's boards, because they are so easily laid out, they're very high quality, and they're very, very reasonably priced for all of the capabilities that they do. Now, speaking of Mix Minus, just one other thing before I go ahead and wrap this video up. Earlier this week, one of the things that I had to do was I had to do a radio show myself, but one of the co-hosts was out of state. So I had to figure out how to set up a mix, not only for the one co-host who was going to be here in the studio to record, but I also had to figure out how to set up a mix for the co-host who was out of state, as well as the interviewee who was also on the phone. And so basically you've got 3 mixes going there, where the co-host here has to be able to hear their co-host out of state and the interviewee at a suitable listening volume, right? And then the co-host who's out of state has to be able to hear the co-host here in the studio, as well as the interviewee on the phone, and those levels have to be set just right. And then the interviewee has to hear both of the co-hosts, all at the same time, while not sending their signals back to themselves where they're getting an echo. Well, I can tell you right now that this board handled that like a dream. And one more added layer of difficulty to that was the co-host that was out of state, we actually patched him in from the internet, from online. And the interviewee was on the phone. So just getting 2 different signals there, plus a signal from the microphone here in the studio, it was amazing how well everything worked out. Everybody could hear everybody just fine. The audio came through great. Again, this board has performed with flying colors, and there are so many other features. I'm just going to tell you to check out the videos that Presonus has put together on what this thing can do. It is truly, truly amazing. So until next time, guys, here's to getting better audio at home, and we'll see you next week.